So we should all be on mute now, right?
Opal, real quick, I sent you something else.
Are we on?
It's 6:01.
We're waiting for the superintendent to return to lead us in the pledge. And if everybody could mute while he does that, that would be great. Mr. Superintendent, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
Oh, yes, Madam Chair, I would be honored. If you would at this time, put your hand over your heart for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Was I unmuted that time?
Thank you.
Better? All right.
Very well done. All right. Ms. McKinney-Williams, are there persons to be heard?
You're not at item 6. That's item 6. So item 2 is changes and additions, Madam Chair.
Ms. Bowen, are you prepared to read the changes and additions? You need to unmute your microphone, please, ma'am.
Yes, I am prepared, Madam Chair. The changes and additions are as follows. Item 1, 12.01 FLDOE, Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, Community-Based Work Experience Contract Renewal 2021, FLDOE, Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, has decided to adjust their contract to a fee-based service. Item 2, 19.02 2020-2021, Voluntary Insurance Products. Information was received from RGVI after the school board meeting agenda was published. Item 3, 19.03 2020-2021, Employee Health Insurance Options. Information was received from RGVI after the school board meeting agenda was published. Item 4, 19.04, Charter Renewal Request by Tallahassee School of Math and Science. Contract negotiations were not finalized until after the meeting was published. Item 5, 19.05, Property and Casualty Program Renewal 2020-2021. Item 6, 5.04, Reports to be heard, Title 2 Updates. Item 7, add item 19.06, Instructure, Canvas LMS. Contract negotiations were not finalized until after the meeting was published. Item 6, add item 19.07, approval of the value adjustment board member. This item was added as the citizen member just accepted the pending appointment. Item 9, add 7.04, approval of personnel actions, June 16, 2020. I move the acceptance of the changes and additions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Wood. Moved by Ms. Bowen. All in favor? Show it.
Aye.
No objections. Show it unanimously approved. Thank you. All right. That takes us to item number 3. Superintendent, do you have a spotlight tonight?
Not tonight, Madam Chair.
No recognitions. No. The only report to be heard is item 5.04, Title 2 Updates. Mr. Superintendent?
Yes, Madam Chair. If you don't mind, if I go back to recognitions real quick, although it's not a formal recognition, but I did receive the sweetest note ever from a Stephanie Hart, who was a parent Peyton Hart, who's a graduate of Childs High School, just thanking us for the wonderful graduation ceremony. So I again would like to thank all the members of my staff that made this possible, and for you all for your participation. It's just very heartfelt. Thank you from the Hart family, and we were glad we could make that happen. So with that, I'll turn it over to Shane Seifert. Shane, if you'd like to give the brief Title II update that you gave yesterday.
Good afternoon, Superintendent, Mr. Seifert. Dr. Gala, will you be posting the slide?
Yes, ma'am. I'm about to put it up right now. If you
Thank
can
you.
go ahead and start talking.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Superintendent, school board members. For your consideration, 2020-2021 Title II Professional Development Plan for Leon County Schools. This is a federal program that allows for the use of federal dollars for $1.4 million to be spent on supporting student achievement and student learning through the professional development of our teachers, administrators. The three areas of focus that the dollars are allocated to is supporting online instruction, inclusive of professional development to support online learning, and increasing digital instruction infusion in the classroom face-to-face. The second area of focus is the common language of instructional practice, particularly as it relates to both Leon Leads, which is our teacher evaluation system, but also for targeted training for subject area instruction in online learning. And then the third piece of our Title II plan for the 2020-2021 school year is leadership training, and that is the dissemination of best instructional practices in online learning and supporting effective and efficient communication and using district resources in an optimal way. So those are the three areas of focus that the Title II plan is crafted around, and that is for your consideration this evening for the 2021 Title II focus area of a professional development plan.
All right, are there any questions or comments from the board?
I just want to say thank you for a great report.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. And we did discuss this at length yesterday.
Yes, we did.
Bring her into the camera, Miss Gregory. Every movie star, everybody on TV, there she is, the star of the Jillian Gregory family.
Hey there.
Yes.
Our great
Oh.
student and a beautiful dancer.
Yeah. They say you're a beautiful dancer. Wait. Thank you.
Hello.
You're very welcome. She's
Impromptu
in
student spotlight here.
Hi.
Maddie.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'll-
Maddie Gregory.
Your mom's a rock
Maddie.
star.
She does not think so.
Yes.
She does not think so. Thank you.
That's
That'll change.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to quickly say that last slide about the professional development of teachers in the digital platform. I know we had a lot of discussion about that yesterday. That's really important to us, that teachers are going to receive training, not just for COVID-related things, and they're just going to receive training on how to be better digital teachers, because most people didn't go to college and learn that. So I thank you for putting an emphasis on that in our federal grant, and I think everyone's going to be better off because of it. So thank you.
Madam Chair, may I also add, I think some of the things that my colleague, Mrs. Wood, brought up yesterday relative to the diversity of our staff and us being able to make reassignments as needed for those who want to remain employed with our district. I believe that should be also a part of identifying persons who will take advantage of the professional development that we are providing, such that they may still be able to make a considerable contribution to our activity. I think that it should be designed with meeting the needs of the district, as well as being able to equip the district to make certain that our professionals are uniquely trained for what is now the present construct, but also for future for the future growth of the district beyond the pandemic. And I think that what she brought to us yesterday needs to be taken into consideration as we identify persons to take advantage of this professional development.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. So noted.
All right, very good. Anybody else for this item? That's just a report to be heard, so we don't need a motion. So that takes us to item number 6. Thank you, Ms. Gregory. And I believe we do have persons to be heard.
Yes, Madam Chair. We have 2 public comments, and I'm going to read each one. Each public comment is within, appears to be within the word format that we, or the word count that we requested in order to keep it within the time limit. So I'll read the first one now. Dated Tuesday, June 16th, 2020, to Rockyhanna Superintendent, School Board members, good evening. I asked in the Riley Teams meeting on Friday, May 30th, regarding reappointment conferences, and my principal stated that the decision was not made yet. June 2nd, 2020, that my principal wanted me to call her. As I was asleep, I missed it. This is after contract hours. I called her back on June 2nd, 2020 at 7:29 p.m. She made me aware that I was not reappointed, and how did I want to receive my letter? I asked her to email it to me. I received the letter on June 3rd and downloaded it. We did not have a conference, and I wanted to know if this was the directive of the superintendent. On June 2nd, 2020, many teachers received a non-appointment phone call or request for how you would like your official non-reappointment letter, pick it up or mailed. This is truly a travesty, since many of the teachers are well-crafted in their profession and do not deserve this treatment. No teacher should be notified the day before their last day of a contract that they no longer have a job. No explanation or conference, just you are not reappointed. This practice must stop immediately. I'm aware that Florida is an at-will state. You can be terminated without cause because, for instance, your employer wants to hire someone with more experience, and typically you would have no legal recourse against them. Where does this end? Does it end when there's a pandemic and there are no jobs to be had? Does it end when one reapplies for reemployment assistance and does not know how long it will be before a check will arrive in the mail? The distance of teachers. I guess the importance does not apply to all teachers. You do not have tenure, or if you retire for personal reasons and return to the profession, then you must not be reappointed. There are many teachers in this group who are qualified to teach the children of Leon County in the classroom and through distance learning. Please take some time to read the policy regarding non-reappointment of teachers. This process affects teachers in many ways. Teachers have no income after June 2nd. Teachers are technically fired and can apply for reemployment. However, this does not guarantee that they will receive it. There is no access to Leon County Schools professional development for teachers who need it to recertify because their email is turned off. The mental state of the teacher is now lower than ever because they believe they're not good enough to teach. Health insurance is hard to get if there is no income. In the same manner and vein of generosity, cooperation, kindness, and understanding that Leon County Schools afforded the school community as it relates to graduation ceremonies, that same respect and act of gratitude was not afforded the teachers who were not reappointed. In solidarity for all teachers who were not reappointed by phone or email on June 2nd, 2020, written by Lynn Jones, who resides at 3211 Notre Dame Street, Tallahassee, Florida, 32303. And then the second public comment received.
Before you go on to that,
Yes,
Ms. Williams, I just wanted to comment that I'm sure that the superintendent will refer this written statement to the appropriate staff, perhaps. Dina?
Yes, Madam Chair. And Dina, Ms. McAllister has been working with all the principals on reappointments of teachers and making alternative placements for teachers. And we're trying our best we can to meet the needs of our schools and our understanding our employees as well. So I'll have Ms. McAllister reach out to that school's principal to find out what the circumstances were and get some more information. This is the first I've heard of it, but she's on it. She's listening in, so she'll take care of it.
I do have one question about.
I do too.
Okay, Mr. Jones and then Ms. Bowen.
How did the letter writer say the number of non-reappointments? Did I hear that number read?
I will glance back through this.
Probably not a number that's
Not a number, it just said many teachers.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Don't see a number listed.
Okay. And my question was going to be, were those many teachers from Raleigh? And I wondered, And I'm certain the superintendent will see what undergirds all of this. The process, it sounds like this is a new process, or are we using this because now of COVID? I'm listening for the humanity in this. Nobody wants to be without a job, but I think she's questioning probably the way that it all happened. And at some point, I would just like to hear what the findings are, please. Mrs. Superintendent.
So noted, Ms. Bowen. Like I said, Ms.
Thank you.
McAllister's been working with all our site administrators on the
course.
reappointment process, and you know, I can't respond. I just don't have enough information. But
I
I'm sure
appreciate
Ms.
that,
McAllister
right.
will look into it first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay.
While we're looking at it, could we also get updated on just how many people we're talking about? I know
Well,
staffing
Why?
cut it. I mean, staffing plans, is my understanding, were cut at most schools. And so what's the collective impact of that?
Right.
Yeah, we can certainly get you that information.
Because there's a lot to unpack in this. It sounds like I'm just hearing it too. Okay.
But also,
Thank you, sir.
where are we with the staffing plans, and kind of maybe, I mean, I'm assuming that asking them to let us know if their kids are coming back in person, online, or not, that would affect the staffing plans. We don't, we're in unprecedented times where we don't know how many students we'll have at each school next year yet, right?
Right.
We won't know we'll know definitively the second week of July once we start making phone calls as to what the intentions of our families are. So we just handed out initial staffing plans at the end of the school year based on FTE numbers from last year. Some of our schools had lower numbers than they had in years past, and to Ms. Wood's point, there were some adjustments made. I didn't want to commit to people, again, not knowing the budget hasn't even gone to the governor yet. He hasn't taken it, and so it may be a case where we were very conservative in our staffing, and it may be a case, if we see it's not as bad as we expected, that we can then go back and add units here or there as we need to. But what we can't do is we can't reverse it the other way around. So we were very conservative in our staffing, and we can always go back if we see that we were not impacted as much as we feel as though we might be. Then we can go back and adjust as necessary over the course of the summer. But I can have Ms. McAllister give you all a list. I want to say the number was around 50 or 60 teachers that she's working with of the 2,200, 50 or 60 that she's working with alternative placements. But I can have her report out more effectively, in the next week or so.
Okay. Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Ms. Bowen, then Ms. Wood.
Yes, Madam Chair, you mentioned the survey, I believe. I looked at it just briefly today, and I wasn't able to find, though it probably is in there. I'd be interested in knowing not only the number of respondents, but I'd like to know the breakdown of the respondents when it comes to race, the number of respondents, demographics, and that kind of thing, and the number of respondents who are asking to go to LCDA at the high school and the elementary level. I didn't see that in there, and it would be interesting to note that as well for a future date, if that's possible. Well, I know it's possible.
Superintendent, would you like me to answer that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is Dr. Gale. So we didn't ask demographics of race within the survey, so we don't have that information. We didn't request that. We do have a breakdown. It's listed regarding the schools.
Yes.
People who actually replied from the schools, but more exact information we're going to drill down to and provide that as well. We wanted to give you the data in addition to the comments to inform you of what everyone said.
Right. And we do have that. Well, will you be at some point perhaps providing that? That might be a little helpful. I know we're going to have our task force groups, but it would just be beyond interesting to know what, our parents are really asking and from whence they cometh and that kind of thing at some point.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Bowen.
Thank you.
Ms. Wood.
I know we're sort of all over the place in this conversation.
Well, she mentioned it.
We're talking about staffing, and I'm wondering when we're going to get a report from the commissioner's release of the CARES money. Is that, when will that be forthcoming, and how that money is going to be allocated to Leon County schools and how we're going to use it?
I can get Ms. Banks to give an update on CARES money. I think, right now the plan is to use the CARES money as much as it possibly can to offset the money we're going to lose, on the other side, to help with staffing and things like that. So whatever is allowable, and I think there's a lot of flexibility in the CARES money to help us. But I can have Kim can speak to that.
Right, that's important, especially again in light of paraprofessionals being laid off and teachers being laid off. If it was because we were worried about money, and we have some information now that'll help with that equation. So look forward to hearing about that.
I can speak to it really quickly if you want, if you'd like a quick report on the CARES Act, because we just received information from it from DOE on Friday.
Love it.
But I think there's two different things. I think some of what's being discussed is not related to budget or staffing. I think it might be related to performance, but I'll let Ms. McAllister report on that. So on Friday, the Department of Education held a webinar related to the CARES Act. Leon County as a whole is, our set aside amount is about $7 million. That also has to be shared along with the charter schools and private not-for-profit schools. They said that there's a guaranteed per student amount of $212 per student. When we're looking at Leon's allocation, it doesn't exactly total to that. So we're still going through that. Again, we just got this information on Friday. There is a lot of flexibility with the CARES Act. There's also, as we see with a lot of other federal funds, you obviously can't supplant with other federal funds. That's not the case of these funds. These funds are meant to help us continue our current operations. So what we are looking at doing most likely is probably going to be using them to ensure that staff are paid. So we're going to probably be using them to continue operations in that manner. But again, we just got this on Friday.
So maybe an update, Ms. Banks, on the next agenda in July would be, is that all right with you, Mr. Superintendent?
Before that, if possible, please.
Well, that would be in writing, but I mean, our next meeting is not until July.
Right.
That's right.
Ms. Bowen, did you have anything else?
No. Thank you, ma'am.
If you could mute your microphone, and Ms. Wood, that'd be great. All right, that takes us to the consent agenda, I believe.
Madam Chair,
I'm sorry.
one more comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. I cut you off. I apologize. Go ahead, please.
Our second comment is from Marie Claire Lehman, 1911 Wahala Court, Tallahassee 32301. Good evening, Superintendent Hannah and school board members. First, I want to take this opportunity to tell you how impressed I am with the way you seamlessly moved to this online platform and continue to guide and lead us through these challenging times. Your hard work and diligence, and that of the staff at the district is so appreciated. On the eve of the first meeting of the reopened LCS task force, it is my honor to be one of Roseanne Wood's representatives. I am hopeful that as a community that wants the very best for every single student in our schools, we are keeping an open mind and considering all the options that might best address the unprecedented situation we face. I know the district staff has been working hard to be ready to present us with the preliminary outline of a plan, as well as all the health, equity, and learning considerations that will need to be factored into that plan. However, I am concerned by what I have heard so far. LCS seems to favor an all or nothing approach where students would be 100% in school or 100% in distance learning. Meanwhile, many districts in Florida are working on implementing hybrid models. These vary between A-B groups, splitting the week so that every student has a chance to be at school, but keeping in-person groups smaller, and models where older students are distance learning for all or most of the time to allow younger students to be in person, but spread over the freed up spaces. Admittedly, these are more complicated and difficult to implement, but done thoughtfully and equitably, they have the potential of meeting the complex needs of more students and families. Also, in the all or nothing approach that we seem to be leaning towards at the moment, the risks are so much higher. Higher health risks for the brick and mortar choice if we cannot keep group sizes small enough, higher academic risks for students whose families feel they need to choose the online only, especially in the case of the youngest students. A hybrid model might instead give students the best of both worlds and or target the best approach to each age cohort. In addition, it would ensure that all students are well versed and trained for online learning in case the situation gets worse and schools have to close completely for a period of time. When the district surveyed the parents for their preferences between in-school learning, digital academies run by the individual schools, or enrollment in Leon County Virtual School, there was not an opportunity to express any reservation or ambivalence. Many parents value in-person learning, but would only feel comfortable with that if classes were at 50% capacity to reduce the risk of transmission. I encourage all of us to stay open-minded to alternative solutions moving forward. Thank you. That's the end of public comment, Madam Chair.
And Madam Chair, if I may, I have great respect for Marie Claire and so thankful to all that she's given of her time and efforts and energy in support of our mission. I will say that a number of school districts like us were preparing for what the governor may or may not say about capacity at schools. And in this document, he makes it very clear on page 42 about his dimmer switch approach that starts in June with opening up campuses for youth activities, in July expanding campus activities like we have done with our of his dimmer switch approach. August, open up campuses at full capacity for traditional start of the academic year. We and other districts across the state were making plans in case the governor in his document said that schools could only open it at 50% capacity. Now, having said that, I want to be open-minded, and we are not going into this with this. So to Marie Claire's point, absolutely, we'll look at all types of options. And with and to her point, yeah, there's a lot of logistical issues that come with half in, half out, parents staying home, not staying home. I mean, but to her point, yes, we have made no final decisions. If we'd have made final decisions, we wouldn't need a task force. We wouldn't need to go through this exercise. So we are going to stay open-minded, but be clear, the governor has given his approval and recommendations that schools across the state of Florida open at full capacity.
I thank you for that, and I appreciate the commitment that we have not made a final decision, and that's the purpose of this task force. And so I'm sure Ms. Lehman will share that letter or her similar thoughts to the task force, and I hope that they will be completely wide open-minded about every possible eventuality, because even if we do open at full capacity, we don't know what could happen if there is another spike or another resurgence. We have not made it through this pandemic yet. So, and what do we do if one school has an outbreak or if 3 schools have an outbreak? And how do you keep everybody on track? And so anyway, thank you for that. Anybody else have anything to add, or are we going to wait for the task force to do their job?
I appreciate those comments, and I think, I'm really looking forward actually to finding out the details of the district's groups that they've been working on, because we haven't really heard those yet. So everyone keeps asking me, what are we doing? And I guess I'm going to listen on Zoom like everybody else and find out. So anyway, I'm trying to keep an open mind, and we want to do what's best for children. And this is a very, very complicated decision, and there's not going to be one that everyone's going to be happy with. We know that. So we'll just try to do the best we can. And I look forward to hearing our task force members and also from our staff, because I know they've been meeting with people in the health department, and I want to hear what they have to say. So I'll hold judgment on that.
Thank you. Ms. Bowen?
Yes, actually the last statement that Ms. Woods made may have been what I was trying to say. And if I'm a little premature, I'm sure the superintendent will let me know. But I suspect that principals and other staff people have been discussing this a little bit. Are we at a place where that information can be shared with us as to what principals think at this point, or you're going to wait until the task force bring in their reports? I'm just curious. I'm certain that constituents are speaking to them or with them about their preferences. Is there anything of note that we ought to hear from them about where we might move in this regard?
Dr. Cox, are you on this call, this meeting? Well, I can. He had conferences.
Yes.
You want to speak to your conversations with principals?
Yeah. Today I did an MS Teams meeting with elementary, then middle, and then high school to discuss just the preliminary of our reopen plan from a health and safety perspective. How deep do you want me to go into that? It was
No, that's it. I just want them to know that they are absolutely critical. Their feedback is critical. They're the ones that are going to be
absolutely
the ones executing the plan. So we want to get the feedback, and that's what he did. He presented the information he had gathered from the county health department, the local hospitals, shared that with the principals, then to get that feedback, wrap it all into a nice package, and then present it to the task force to get their additional comments.
So, Ms. Bowen, to answer your question further on that too, is that I have got when we present to the task force and when we present to y'all, I've got an extensive list of my focus groups out there. Like I'm sure there are other county have. I mean, it's the hundreds of people that have been contacted. The principals are just as valuable, their input, because you know what? They're actually the ones that have to make it work, right? They know that.
That's the reason for that.
So they're an integral part.
Yeah,
Madam
and that was
Chair.
the reason for my question. And having done some quick and dirty research, not that I'm out that much. My children make me get, being that COVID-19 is still out there, but I continue to see, and this is just my observation, many of our students, I'm claiming them as our students, they are out and about without masks and such stuff, and such protective gear. And I just want to make certain that it's important to note that as they start to make decisions about the best way to get everybody back, if that's where they go, that all of this will be taken into consideration, Dr. Cox. And I'm certain with the health department that would be the case. You follow what I'm saying?
I do.
I mean, slews of them, they've got on nothing. And so whatever we need to do, I think it's going to cause some people to work a little harder and work a little different to do these things. But I am pressing for that.
Well, one word I had today was to tell the principals that we've got to establish a new normal. Okay, and that kind of what you're talking about. So, right.
Okay, good.
Mr. Jones,
you're on it.
Mr. Jones.
Yes, Madam Chair, colleagues, Mr. Superintendent. Yesterday's conversation gave me great pause, and I did not know at what point in our conversation that we would talk about this re-engagement. And I'm very much aware of the governor's, his exhaustive communication to our school districts across the state of Florida. And I'm also very much aware of the fact that each school district has the opportunity to fashion reopening of their schools in the best interest of their respective communities. However, his recommendations aside, I want to remind this district that when we first started talking about this pandemic, particularly during the summer months, the earlier months, no sooner than we had to close our schools, we said that we would be guided by CDC guidelines. That is why I've taken great pause at the fact that we have seemed somewhat reluctant to include the leadership of our health department as a part of the discussion. I am genuinely concerned about whatever our next steps are moving forward, particularly as it will affect our children and our staff. I am hoping that we will take this time, and although our time is diminishing every day and every hour, that we would make the types of choices that will put our children at less risk, and that we would be guided not by politics or economic expediency or economic recovery, but instead would be guided by science. We are all witnessing what we believe to be accurate scientific information that shows us that there is an increase in number of persons who are being affected. And I am of greater concern. I love all children, but there is a reality that has been communicated by our science, and that is that Black, brown, and working class families are more disproportionately affected by COVID than others. And so subsequently, I am hoping that we will take that into consideration, because although parents may be armed with options, working class people may not very well have those options and would want to bring their children back. And we've got to do everything we can to diminish density in our classrooms and at our facilities to ensure that our children and our faculty remain safe. I am concerned, Dr. Cox, about how we're going, there are some simple things that we know that we all are aware of. Masks. If Publix can create lanes to bring down density, then certainly we can take that into consideration at our schools. If there are some stores and some events that require that you wear masks, then certainly as we communicate with our shared public who are buying book bags and supplies, masks can be a part of that inventory as well. But I want to make certain that our children don't come back, because one of the things that gave me great pause in that report was that if a child is infected, that a school could very well be closed for some days. Imagine what that means for momentum in learning. When a school has to be closed because there have been children who have been affected and then the school closes down. I had a conversation, Mr. Superintendent, I'd like to make it a part of the public record. One of the things that gives me pause is the notion of, I talked with James Cole because I'm aware that utilization for our public transit systems has always been minimal. Perhaps if we were to work in cooperation and harness the goodwill of other jurisdictions, perhaps they can be a part of our transportation solutions. But it's going to require that type of innovation to make certain that we don't put our children and our faculty at risk. This COVID remains real. And I'm just concerned that we cannot take our guidance from politicals entirely, because they are not necessarily motivated with the same thing that we are. And that is the safety of our children. And if something happens to our kids, it will be this board, it'll be this superintendent that has to look families in the face, not the governor and not the commissioner of education. So I just, and after yesterday's call, I had great pause about what was our conversation. And now, as I listened to the words provided by Marie Claire Lehman, I am hoping that our minds are not made up, and that we will take the advice of scientists and other persons who can help to advise us to ensure our student and our faculty's safety. I'm sorry if I waxed long, but I was a little off put by yesterday's conversation, and I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, I will say this, Mr. Jones. I don't know. We are tied at the hip with the Leon County Health Department. I can assure you that. And every decision we make and every recommendation is going to be in lockstep with the people across the street. So if I've misrepresented that, I apologize. But I can assure you, we are going to go with the graces of the health department, the folks across the street. We're not going alone based on what the governor said. We're going to be in lockstep with our local health officials. I can assure you that.
Right. Madam Chair.
Ms. Bowen.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you. For me, Mr. Superintendent, that's very reassuring, because one of the thoughts that I'm having right now, and I wanted to address this question to you, Attorney Williams, what would be the ramifications should our children come to school and there is this outbreak and it is traced, would legally we be in some kind of court proceedings?
Well, I think anytime something happens in a school context, we are subject to a negligence action. We are often subject to negligence actions because we have a duty of care with regard to our students. The real question is going to be, did we somehow breach our duty of care? So one way to look at this is to what extent, what efforts did this district undertake in light of everything that's going on and in light of all of the health data that there is out there? What steps did this district take to try to mitigate against potential impact? This is did we know about a potential issue? Of course, the whole world knows about the potential issues. What did we do? And so when you hear districts talking about plans and implementing those plans, to the superintendent's point, districts across the state and districts across the country, everybody's implementing different kinds of plans. But the point is, when you look at this plan, whatever this plan is that this district implements, what's going to be looked at is, to what extent did we in our plan make an effort to try to comply with the known guidance that's out there? So I think I'm sure that staff are not thinking about potential litigation. They're thinking about ensuring the health and safety of our students. But if we did potential litigation, that's what we're going to come back to. Did we breach our duty? And to what extent did we try to make sure that we hold on to our duty, that we protect our duty in light of what's going on? So it's about the plan, and it's about, yes, it's looking at what guidance DOE is giving us, but it's also looking at what guidance CDC has given us, what guidance our local health department's giving us, what guidance our Department of State is giving us. And then, one additional factor is, what are we doing in relation to what some other districts are doing? And the superintendent's mentioned like size districts and similar districts. So all of those things will need to come into play. It's about the effort that we're undertaking, and to what extent and what simple things we can do, and then what complex things we can do.
Madam Chair, if I might ask, where are we on the agenda?
You're still under persons to be heard.
Yeah, we have gotten a little off task.
I would move we move along with the agenda, and then if we want to continue this conversation at the end, maybe under continuing concerns, we do that.
Consent agenda. I just want to thank you, Ms. Bowen. I just want to say one thing though. I feel compelled. I've said this until I'm blue in the face. I know you can probably, as soon as I say the word, you can fill in the rest of the sentence, because you've all heard me say this over and over. We do not have an adequate risk management department. This is a risk management issue. And I will remind you that there is currently an investigation going on, not to see if we did enough, but what could we have done that we did not do to keep our students safe. And this is no different. And if it were up to me, we would hire a risk management company, a consultant, or someone to come in and do some sort of assessment about what kinds of notifications need to go home with children who, if they do live with a grandparent with an underlying health issue, or who is older, or any family. I mean, there are things we should be doing that are beyond the normal scope of authority or responsibility that we have. But if we open schools and we say you're going to be you are in violation of truancy laws if you don't show up, and then because they're required by law to show up, I mean, I think we have some cover in that we're offering options. We're offering digital options, and that can be part of that. But and we don't need to carry this on, but I just felt compelled to say that. I apologize.
Sticky wicket. Okay, thank you.
Well, since you felt compelled, I feel compelled to respond. So in response to that, I don't know if I told you this, we hired a man named Todd Stupsky. Janet Maxwell's retiring in 2 weeks, and Todd is a board attorney and has extensive background and history in workers' comp. He comes very, very highly recommended. So we now have an attorney on staff that is going to be working in the risk management department. Him and Deborah Menace have already had discussions. They're going to be in lockstep to address issues, just like you said, Ms. Rasmussen. But to your point, you will see a much more proactive and aggressive risk management department. I can assure you that.
Great. Well, I did not know that, so I'm happy to hear that. And with that,
Me neither. Good.
we will move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion for items 7 through 17, the general consent agenda?
So move, Madam Chair, move it.
Moved by Ms.
I
Bowen.
move the,
Moved by Ms. Bowen, second by Ms. Wood. Any objection? Seeing none, show it unanimously approved. That takes us to item 18, which
Madam
is.
Chair, if I may, and I'll be brief, but I need to recognize a couple of people. So we had 3 openings at school sites this summer. We had 3 principals departing. First, we had Evie Friend at Hawks Rise Elementary School, who is retiring and building a new home and excited about interaction with her grandchildren and farm animals and things like that. We also had Paul Lambert, who has accepted a position at Lively Technical College to help with recruitment for Lively. He's also going to help out in some other areas and student activities. And then we have finally Dr. Chris Small is leaving and going to Florida State University to accept a position at Florida State. So, those 3 administrators have served this district well. They've been rock stars and very solid in those schools and those school communities. But with those openings come opportunities. We formed committees both for each school site that consisted of several district staff members, the outgoing principals. I felt like it was important for those 3 outgoing principals to have a say in who their replacement was, given just like Roseanne when she left Sale, just like when I left Leon, it was very comforting to know who that next person would be because they've given so much of their time, energy, and effort to that school and that school community. So we had 3 committees formed, and the results of that committee, first I'd like to introduce Beth Jackson, who was an assistant principal there at Hawks Rise Elementary School. She will become the new principal at Hawks Rise Elementary. Then Stacy Mortham, who's been at Canopy Oaks, the rock star, Paul Lambert's right arm, left arm for a number of years. Stacy's going to take the reins at Canopy Oaks Elementary School. And then at my alma mater, Augusta Raw Middle School, Marcus Scott. Marcus Scott was a member of the Marching 100. He comes with a wonderful music arts background, which is going to fit nicely into what we're trying to do there at Augusta Raw Middle School. So I'm proud to present those 3. With that, I would like to give them each 1 minute to introduce themselves to you and to the community and just give a brief background about their history. So Beth, if you would jump. How excited you are to take over Hawks Rise Elementary School.
Mr. Superintendent, let me interject one thing. I see that Mr. Dietzen has joined us. So as soon as it would be my intention that right after the 3 minutes, we will take a break from the agenda and then come back to the consent on item 18 because he's on an important time clock, I'm sure. Okay. Ms. Jackson.
Hi. Good evening, Superintendent and school board members. I am so excited to be the 3rd principal at Hawks Rise Elementary. I have spent the last 4 years there with the privilege to form relationships with parents, students, teachers, staff, and stakeholders, and it has absolutely been an honor. I look forward to leading Hawks Rise. I look forward to continuing the great work of Miss Penny Brinson and Miss Evie Friend as I continue in their tradition. It is truly an honor, and I am so grateful. So, yay for me, yay for Hawks Rise. We're thrilled.
Yay for Hawks Rise.
Hey, Jimbo!
My favorite is that guy. Don't hold against her.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Beth. We're thrilled to have you. And Hawks Rise is School Board District 4. And I look forward to working with you and can't wait to see. I just want you to know that I do know the songs Hawks Arise.
Good. As well.
And Hawks Rise always has one of my
the most easternmost and the most westernmost schools in our district.
yes.
And every year Hawks Rise has a very special event. They have Immigration Day, which it's just, if you haven't been, you need to go to Hawks Rise Immigration Day for 5th graders. It's just a wonderful event and time for kids to celebrate their heritage, and it represents the best of our school district. So Beth, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yes.
All right, Stacy, are you out there in virtual world somewhere? There she is, the new principal at Canopy Oaks Elementary School, the head of the Cardinals, the lead Cardinal.
Good evening, Mr. Superintendent, school board members. It is an honor to become the next principal at Canopy Oaks. I've been there for 7.5 years as the assistant principal for Mr. Bruner and now Mr. Lambert, who is going to be on speed dial for me, I'm sure. My children go there as well and have been there since pre-K and kindergarten, and they will be in 5th grade and 3rd grade. And so I'm just looking forward to continuing our family atmosphere that we have at Canopy Oaks. And I would welcome any of you, Ms. Rasmussen, I know you've come a few times, and so any of you who'd like to come and join us at Cardinal Nation, come visit anytime.
Yay. Also in School Board District 4, yay, congratulations.
Yay.
All right, Stacy, congratulations. We're very excited about your leadership and the great things that you'll continue at Canopy Oaks Elementary School. And last, and
that's a drum.
If I hear Ms. Bowen give a drum
roll
for the Tharp Street Corridor, Mr. Marcus Scott, new leader of the Augusta Raw Rams. Congratulations, Mr. Scott.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Superintendent, again for the wonderful opportunity, school board members. Thank you guys for the wonderful opportunity to become the visionary, the leader at Augusta Raw Middle School. Raw is a special place. It has a special group of teachers there, and not only that, a special group of learners. With the arts, I love the arts. I love what they do. School, and it's so amazing to become part and become a visionary and become a leader under great leadership like Dr. Small and the things that they've done so far. I'm just so excited, so humbled, and so excited to move forward and to take Raw to the next level. So again, thank you again, Mr. Superintendent and school board members, and we're going to do some great things together next year. So excited.
Congratulations. We're lucky to have you. Raw Ram alumni right here.
There you go.
Oh, good. You see that move?
Yeah,
yes. Welcome home,
a
Mr.
decade
Scott.
before her.
Yes.
Welcome home, Mr. Scott. Welcome home. I've got the moves for you. Yep.
Congratulations.
Yes. Good.
Lucky and Alva.
Congratulations.
Marcus Scott is in the current leadership Tallahassee class, class 37.
Along with Benny Bolden and Dr.
Well, no, that's the next class.
We are killing it, people. Leon County Schools is well represented in Leadership Tallahassee.
Yes, we are.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
He'll be graduating soon.
Good choice.
Awesome.
All right.
He's going back to middle school now, so you know. Congratulations. We
always come home.
I'm a Raw.
Great.
Once a Raw mom, always a Raw mom. One of my kids went to Raw, and a lot of my constituents go to Raw. So big supporters, love what you're doing with the arts, and look forward to seeing you continue that in your leadership. Congratulations.
Absolutely. Welcome to the Tharp Street Corridor.
And just know, Marcus, I promise you, Donna Calloway will be watching.
Yeah. Standing on the shoulder giants.
You will be there.
Yes.
All right. So, Dean, congratulations to the three of you, and can't wait for the wonderful things you're going to do as the new leaders in our school system. All right. So, Leonard, you did pop on the call. I thought when we hung up, I was going to kick you down the road for another time. You want to say a few words to this group?
Leonard, if you can unmute and everybody else could please mute, that would be helpful. Thank you.
And Dina, you want to pop in?
Okay, I caught the last 10 or so minutes of the meeting, and I'd like to say, Madam Chair and Superintendent and the board, thank you for allowing me just to share a few brief comments. I think Leon County is struggling with the same issues that all over Florida are struggling with. I'm working with at least 15 school boards on a labor issue basis. I also represent the School Board Association. I represent FEN, the Florida Education Negotiators, and also I'm working with the Superintendents Association on how to get to the next step. As you know, just last Wednesday, we were given a 150-page reopening Florida schools and the CARES Act. Several new standards, suggestions, recommendations. I have been working with Ms. McAllister. We are working on difficult labor issues that your district is facing, all districts are facing, as to how to handle bringing back those who are at risk, how to handle those who are over 65. We will have a thoughtful plan. We do have to be mindful of both federal laws, state laws. As important, your collective bargaining contract. We've been very careful to keep the union in the fold so that there's buy-in from every level, both teachers and support staff. We're trying to plan a path forward that makes sense for everyone. It's going to be your district's plan, and my role will be to keep it labor law-wise safe. Safe for what you were speaking about, generally litigation later on, and also, more importantly, what's best for all of your employees. That's our goal. Safety for all your employees, safety for all your students, comply with changing federal laws, changing state laws, changing recommendations from the Department of Education. That is kind of like your parent. When they tell you to do something, it's a recommendation that you ought to follow. So it's very difficult to say it's a recommendation when it's a shall. Sometimes it's a may, and then you have to decide when it says it's up to the district. So we'll work with the new term, I guess, is a crisis response team. Some districts have a task force. The more people, the better. The more inclusive, the better. We will stay. I will commit to you, Ms. McAllister and I will stay in touch with all your 3 union groups, and we'll try to keep everyone informed. And we'll make sure decisions along the way are compliant and what's currently existing in board policy and currently existing with the new statutes. And so far, I think we've been doing a good job of keeping employees safe and keeping the federal laws complied with. Now, what the future looks like, every district is grappling with that. We're going to be doing this weekly, daily, hourly. I get emails from Dina Saturday night, Sunday night. She doesn't work 4 days a week. She's 7 days a week. And so am I, and I'm not complaining. I'm just saying your staff is working around the clock to try to get this right. And we'll continue to assure the board that legally we'll put ourselves in the best position you can in a very uncertain legal world. But we'll do our best. I'm a proud parent of Ross students, Montfort students, Child students. This district has done well for my family. I'll work 24/7 for your district to continue with the degree of excellence that I know you will give your students. If you have any questions, I'd be happy. I know you're on a busy, tight agenda.
Ms. Wood.
Leonard, thank you for coming. And I'm going to read my 4 questions that I've sent into the superintendent and staff. I don't expect the answer tonight. It's just some things I would like to be addressed. Expertise and your knowledge of what other districts are doing, because this is sticky wicket when it comes to employees and risk and all that. So my questions are: for non-functional employee assignments, on what basis can an employee be allowed to work virtually? For teacher assignments, on what basis will a teacher be allowed to teach virtually? And will there be a district priority system for who teaches virtually based on need? Third question is leave policies. Are there any policy changes based on COVID concerns that have to do with people taking leave? And the fourth one is sick employees. What will the sick leave policy be if an employee contracts COVID-19 while performing his or her duties? So those are just 4 that are rambling around in my head, and I'm sure employees are wondering, what are the answers to those questions? So I look forward to getting your advice on that.
Very, very good questions. They're being grappled with everywhere. I'm certain we can address them to your satisfaction. A lot of them will involve give and take with your current policies, federal law, and also bargaining. And we will come up with a rational approach to all 4 of those.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Anybody else? we had a number of a lengthy conversation yesterday that led to you being invited to join us tonight. So we appreciate your becoming available on the kind of at the last minute.
No problem. Just got home and I appreciate it. And I'll keep in touch with Ms. McAllister, Superintendent, and anyone feel free to call me. And I'm in touch with Opal often. And we're all trying to do the best thing as fast as we can in a changing environment.
That's right. Thank you so much. And thank you, Ms. McAllister, too, for your tireless efforts to keep us afloat.
She is. Thanks.
All right. So that you can check off if you like, Mr. Dietzen. That takes us where we left off, which was consent agenda item number 18, which is the consent agenda for construction. If there's a motion and a second.
Approval. Second.
Okay, I heard it different ways, but I'll go with a motion by Mr. Jones, a second by Ms. Wood. Is there any objection? Okay, show it here. Approved by a vote of 4-0 with an abstention on my part, just in order to avoid even the perception of a potential conflict of interest due to my employment with ABC. All right, thank you. That takes us to item 19.01. I think we're ratifying a emergency food purchase during the COVID pandemic. Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Moved by Ms. Bowen, second by Ms. Flynn. Any objection? Questions? Any objection? Show it unanimously approved. That's item 19.02, voluntary insurance products. Did you have, I see Ms. Faulkner has joined us. Thank you, Ms. Faulkner. Take it away.
Hi, good evening. I'm here to present to you the insurance renewals for employee and retiree benefits. I have two separate agenda items. The first one is voluntary products, and the second one is health insurance. If I may, I would like to present those two agenda items to you together. I am happy to announce that we have a rate hold on all of our products this year with no increase in premium, with the exception of Florida Blue Medicare for our retirees. I would also like to tell you that retirees who are Medicare eligible have a lot of different options that they can purchase outside of what we offer through Leon County Schools. So that rate increase did not alarm us as much because of that, because they do have all different kinds of options. I also have with us today Mr. Bart Gunner and Mr. Walker Cutts with Rogers Gunner Vaughn Insurance Hub International, and I'm not sure if they would like to say anything or not.
Are they on?
Yes, yes.
All right.
Well,
I see Bart.
There seems to be a lot of talk about great work that staff's doing, and I just wanted to expand upon that with the work that Pam and Kim did on these renewals, positioning the district in an important position, and also, you know, give credit to Capital Health Plan. It, as we said yesterday, this is the first time in a very long time that and it's really across the board. So our thanks goes to Kim Banks and Pam Faulkner, and also to Capital Health Plan for seeing our position and agreeing to it. It wasn't going that way, but we got them to where we needed to be, and we're grateful for that. So we have a great partner there, and just wanted y'all to know the hard work that that staff really put into this. I'll keep it short. I know you got a lot to say.
Bart, I thank you. It was certainly a team effort. Like I said before, I think between Kim and Walter, they made them beg for mercy. They just waved the white flag and gave up. But your organization's been part of this school and this school community for a number of years, and y'all are a wonderful asset for us. And can't thank you for all your hard work, efforts, and energies. And I know Kim's been pushing it. Kim and Pam both have been pushing, but it's been a great relationship, and I'm again thankful to CHP. At the end of the day, they did the right thing. We're very appreciative.
They really did. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent.
So in case anyone missed that, we have health insurance for our employees with no rate increase this year. Is there a motion?
I move acceptance.
Moved by Mr. Jones, second by Ms. Wood. Are there any objections?
None.
Ms. Striplin is back. No objection, Ms. Striplin. Right. Okay, so that is on item 19.02, which is a voluntary insurance product. So show that unanimously approved. And then I'll need a motion and a second on item 19.03, which is the employee health insurance piece.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Jones, second by Ms. Wood. Any objection? Without objection, show it unanimously approved.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay. We will take then for 1904, we need to open a public hearing. Are there any speakers for the public hearing on item 19.04, which is the charter renewal request by the Tallahassee School of Math and Science?
There are no speakers.
Right, no speakers. So we'll close the public hearing and I'll take a motion to approve the item 19.04.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Bowen, second by Ms. Striplin. Any objection? Any questions? Without objection, show it unanimously approved. That takes us to item 19.05, the property and casualty renewal. Mr. Superintendent, do you need to say something further on that?
Yes, Madam Chair. I believe Mr. Dawson with Brandon Brown is on the call. Paul, you want to just give him a brief overview of this and tell them where we are?
I would be happy to. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. School board members, I'm pleased to be here, at least virtually. So in your packet, you've got some information on the property and casualty insurance renewal. Now, would it be appropriate to, I think I'd like to share my screen after a couple of comments about where we are, where we're going. I just want to show you some numbers, and I think it's easier to, if we're all looking at the same document. But at first, I'd like to talk about our executive summary. So we put a document together describing the current property and casualty insurance market conditions that we're in, any other headwinds that we may be facing relative to claims or legislation changes that affect our risk management program. And a couple things are outstanding this year that are creating headwinds, and one of which is the current state of the global and U.S. property market. And with the losses we've experienced in 3 or 4 out of the last 5 years, were significant, catastrophic all over the country and obviously all over the world. Most recently, close to home, Hurricane Michael that came ashore in 2018 had devastating effects on the marketplace. And the least but not least would be the coronavirus crisis that we continue to talk about. And one of the things that I think maybe many people miss about the impact of this crisis is the financial uncertainty that is created with all the global property markets. There are a large number of lawsuits and outstanding litigation against insurance carriers relative to business interruption claims. Now, there isn't enough money in the insurance marketplace to pay all of the business interruption claims. Some estimates are $200 and $300 billion a month in losses. So this has created a lot of uncertainty in the markets, and there is, I guess, a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction. So we're seeing rates go up across all parts of the state, all parts of the country, significantly higher than the trends we've seen before that were just just loss-driven rate increases. So that's some of our headwinds. Activity in our employment practice liability. And as Rocky mentioned, there's a new risk manager coming on board. I'm excited about that. We're going to look at some training opportunities and try to drill down and reduce the loss experience for the school, for all the schools. So that's going to be something that we're going to work on to try to reduce our cost of risk and our cost of insurance. The other lines of insurance, there wasn't a lot of significant movement, so I just wanted to hit the highlights. If I can share my screen now. Can we see that?
Yes.
Good. So very quickly, this is all the insurance that the school board buys. It is under the yellow